welcome to the Gym Boss Rebirth Podcast. We have with us special guest in the house, Mr. Nobi Robinson, Unit Manager for Sagicor Insurance, and also an excellent salesperson throughout the years. Just want to find out more about what he does and how insurance can benefit you. Nobi, welcome.
Yes, I'm here, man. How you doing?
All right, respect. So, Nobi, we're talking behind the scene about your start into insurance, how you get started.
Right.
Insurance is, you saw ad or you just applied?
All right, so let me tell you my journey with insurance. So I was working at Digicel, right, as a direct sales agent. So I started off in sales, right? And one day I decided to just see if my options, what my options are. And I saw a financial advisor at Sagicor, so I didn't apply, right? But funny enough, while I was applying and got the call, I was at someone's house in Caribbean Country Club in Portmore. And the person was actually a financial advisor. So I work with her now. And we were just there talking. I said, hey, I got this opportunity. And my sister worked at Sagicor as well. So I told her my sister's name, and she's like, wow, that's your sister? She's a top agent in Sagicor. And
your sister was an agent?
Yes, my sister's literally the top agent in Sagicor. Well, she's a manager now. But back then, 6 years ago, she was the top agent for about 10 years. Right? And she was telling me about, how my sister is a shark. She's always, I would say beating everybody, right, in the sales industry.
Because in sales is about performance.
Right, right. She was not even just Jamaica. She was a top salesman in the Caribbean, right, right. So I called her and said, hey, I got this interview for XYZ, and she said no.
So your sister didn't encourage you to?
No, I did. I knew she worked at Sagicor, but I didn't know her position. That was financial advisor. So the young lady that I was talking to said, hey, yeah, she's a financial advisor too. And I called her and said, hey, I got this call for an interview. And she was like, with who? And I told her, and she's like, no, send me a resume now. You're coming to Holborn branch.
Right. Oh, she basically directed.
Right, and from there is history. I got a call like 2 days later from Chris Law, and from there I just decided to start with Holborn branch.
Work. Right. So how you finding those starting off? Because insurance, you're saying basically is not a tangible product. You can't feel it.
Right, it's not tangible.
But it's still based, it's like a promissory note, a love note, a promissory note. How you get to, inform person the benefit of insurance?
All right, well, the thing is, one of the things that I learned while at Holborn branch is that they're agents and they're agents. Let me say that again in another way. They're salesmen and they're financial advisors. Two different things. A salesman just go out and sell. Might not know much about the product, just go at selling. A financial advisor now is someone who learns about the product, learns about how it benefits the client, and then can relate that to the client using sales, right? So I can say that you have to know your product, right, and know how it benefits you, not just the client. So what do you do? One of the things that we do is we go in, we call, we try to build up a network of persons. We call persons, we go in and we talk to them, and then we try to get to know them more, and based on their goals. Then we can say, all right, then this is the product that is right for you, right? Based on their goals, I will show them why it's right for them. So it has to be matched based on the person, the individual person.
You're not just selling random stuff.
No.
It has to fit a need.
It has to fit a need.
All right, cool. All right, so fit a need, cool. In terms of the product category, what are one of the most beneficial products you think every Jamaican who is working and everybody should at least have under their...
We call them underwritten products, but most persons would know them as like an ultra life or ultra lifeline, right? Those are life insurance policies that you have to ask medical questions to get them, right? When you ask medical questions, the company knows the risk that they're taking on, so it's cheaper, right? The company can
is calculated based on the risk.
Right, the risk. So it's cheaper. So persons can say, all right, then this is what I can afford. I will show them that this is what you can get if you have no health issues.
Is there a living benefit otherwise than health card or health insurance? Is there a living benefit among non-underwritten policies?
No, mainly not non-underwritten, mostly underwritten, and that's one of the reasons why it's more beneficial to the client. Right, it's cheaper, but there's also some investments that are attached to insurance, the underwritten ones mostly, right, where you can decide that there are two investments attached to it. One, which you can put optional. So let's say you want to spend $5,000 a month. I say, all right, then put $2,000 towards the investment, and you can put $2,000, $3,000 towards the insurance. That now you can touch at any time that you want, right? Because it's building up in an investment.
It's like a saving portfolio.
Right. The people call it savings, but it's really an investment, right?
Okay.
So what they do is that you choose the level of risk that you want to take on, and we invest it for you. based on that level of risk. Right. So it's based on the level of risk that you overtake on that is invested for you. What most people don't know is that the 3,000 that you're putting towards insurance is also invested for you. And that builds up something called cash surrender value, which is an investment too. But it's just that you can't touch that until you're ready to cancel the policy.
Given what is happening in the financial climate, all right, worldwide market, you have, with some big man, basically cryptocurrency, Bitcoin stealing a lot of money. Local market, we have reported cases of fraud in very popular sectors. How does that affect client confidence in person that's quote unquote financial advisors?
It does, but the thing is, it does affect the confidence in the overall industry, right? But it's now our job to say, all right, then this is your concern. This is how we're going to mitigate it. So I got calls from my clients about the situation, and then I know how to talk to them and show them that this is what it is. The unfortunate reality is that fraud happens all around the world every day, right? Just that some of them get highlighted more than some, right? We do put measures in place to mitigate that, but the world is not perfect. And any type of investment, you have investments are risk instruments, no matter how you take it, right? And I do understand the point that person saying, the global economy right now is down, but that is actually the reason why you should actually be investing more, right? A recession happens usually every 5 to 10 years. Recessions always happen, right? It's not the first, it will not be the last. What persons do when recessions happen is that they panic and get scared. Like, money I go down, money for sell it off now. Yeah, money I go down, money for sell off my units, no. Right, persons who understand investments do the exact opposite. They want it to do that. They're happy when they do that. Because you're selling your units now, because you're desperate, you sell them at a lower value than what they're actually worth.
Eventually.
Right, what they're actually worth. So they buy up all those and then hold them and wait until the market recovers. When the market recovers now, they sell it back and make more money. Right, there are countless persons who got rich after the 2008 recession because people are panicking and sell. Them just say, all right, then come, give me everything. And just buy, and just hold on. When the market recovered in 2012, which was one of the biggest recoveries in history, them just sell off and just make millions.
Even the housing market too, real estate. It was
it was the same thing, same exact thing. The unfortunate thing is that in 2008, it was the real estate market that caused the recession. But so far, the real estate market has been holding strong, right? Even though the financial market is down now, real estate prices, you should know, real estate prices not going down, right? But that's supply and demand, which is a little more complicated than most things.
Right. So, how you find yourself transitioning from marketing to sales to actually doing insurance?
Well, the thing is, there are elements in marketing that affect sales, right? Networking, getting to know people. The ability to speak to someone and get to know them and try to pull out information that they most likely wouldn't tell anybody else. Right? So marketing has a big role in that. Marketing is about building and maintaining relationships. So when I have my clients now, because I did marketing and understand how you can help to maintain clients, I can retain my clients much more than
the retention is better than even having new clients.
Exactly. Right.
Show a track record that you're able to.
Not just a track record, but it also helps with your finances too, because when you have a client, you still get a little commission of each client that you keep retaining on a yearly basis.
Right.
So even if 1 month I decide to come and I don't, make any sales, which never happen, but still, if that happens, I still have essentially like what is like a base pay to still ensure that I'm still good. Right. Right.
Cool. All right. So to navigate it, you got a call, applied, start to build a clientele. How long before you start to see actual growth in what you're doing to decide? Because insurance, being a salesperson for insurance it's all on you. It's a commission-based service. So what you bring in is what you get.
Right.
Another drawback is that if the person does not reach a mature age in the policy and they fall off, that comes from your commission, a clawback.
Right, usually after a year.
After a year, right. So, given all of those...
usually before a year, my bad. Usually before a year.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, once you don't reach a year.
Yeah, there will be a clawback.
Right. So, how knowing all of that, because most persons that think and say, like, they know 50,000 person or 100 person, they're going to sell every one of them friend or their friend are going to buy from them. When they're in the business, you find out that might be true, but the number that you're looking for from the support system is not really what you think. Most of them, they would have other agents before, they would have other policies before. All of that. what keep you focused to try to achieve and, you know, because
Right.
you must have setbacks.
Funny enough, it's actually the opposite because your friends usually don't buy from you. I can tell you
man.
that. Friends and family usually don't buy from you. It's weird. It's a very psychological thing. And most agents find that, right? It's usually strangers that buy from you, right? Now, the thing is, when I came in, people usually say, but everybody's supposed to have insurance already. The insurance market is saturated.
hear that?
Yeah,
Yeah, they tell you
that is 100% false. It's only 30% of Jamaicans have insurance, which is very, very, I would say, it's bad on the economy, but Jamaicans have a stigma when it comes down to insurance, right? Now, one of the things you can think about is that when let's say 15,000 students leave UA, and let's say 1,000 students leave UA 1 year, we can target about 500 to 600 of those. There are 400 that fall through the cracks and go on to the next year. And the same process keeps happening over and over. So the market can never be saturated. There's always persons and there's always a flow of persons that you can speak to. Right? And one of the things you also need to take into account is that even though some people might have insurance already, that don't mean that they have the insurance that they need.
They can increase their portfolio.
Things can change. Right?
Needs.
Right, needs can change. You say you're 22-year-old now, you just leave school, you take out a $5 million policy. When you reach 30, you need a different policy because guess what happens now? You have Pitney. You look for own ownership. $5 million can't take care of Pitney.
You take on more risk.
Right, and $5 million can't buy a house. You have to have insurance to buy a house. Most people don't know that. That's a thing that I found it weird. I found it out, but I didn't know at first either.
Yeah, you use that as collateral.
Right. You have to have insurance policy to buy a house, whether it is from the bank or from a Sagicor or Guardian Life Insurance. Right, so needs change. So I personally, in 2021, when COVID hit, I didn't see new clients. I literally went back to my clients that I built up the past 5 years and started to do I would say call a review with them. I said, all right, then, this is what changed for you, this is what I need to do. Either increase the policy, decrease the policy, change the policy. So things change over time. So when you have that relationship, people call you.
It's not.
Oh, right. So the needs of insurance needs can change over time, right? So persons at a certain age, when they buy insurance, they might buy it a small policy. When they get older now, they might need a larger one, right? Because things can change. You can get a house, you can decide to buy a house, you can have children, a whole lot of different things can happen, right? Your investment appetite has changed, a whole lot of different things.
You take on more risk. Though.
Right, so you take on much more risk. So you need to actually change your portfolio, right? So even if persons have insurance already, it's still good to still go back to them. Some people, agents might leave, some people might decide to them no, I work with them agent no more, whatever the case situation is, right? So when someone has a $5 million policy at 22, they might need a 30 or 40 or $50 million policy at age 30, right? So the needs have changed, right? So in 2021, what I did, I make sure I sit down and go through all my client lists, call them one by one. I hold my clients and call them one by one, right? Do a review with them, see what they have already, see if anything has changed, and see if anything can be improved.
Fit the need.
Right, whether it be increasing the policy, decreasing the policy, starting investments, doing new policies, whatever it is, right? But I ensure we listen to our clients, see what their need is, and then make a recommendation. You can't go in with a preconceived notion that I'm going to go sell this. No.
And affordability is key too because
Yes.
to maintain the policy is
Right.
important.
It makes no sense. I give someone who's making $100,000 a month a $50,000 life insurance policy. That literally will be cruel because most of them salary are there. I cut half them salary in half. No matter how important life insurance is, I have to give them a policy maybe.
You have to be reasonable.
Right, you have to be reasonable because people have expenses, people have things that can happen out of the blue.
And I think most person wants to have an insurance policy, but they match it as a bill.
Right.
They don't see it as really like a legacy planning.
Right.
You know, and that kind of affect how they make the decision to move forward.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's why it's important to train financial advisors, right? Because if I can go in and you think of it as an expense, I can show you that it's not. It's an investment.
It is.
Right. So when I talk to my clients now, it's when you talk to their client. When I talk to my clients, death don't come up much, even though it's an insurance policy. I show them how it's an investment into their future and how they can build generational wealth. Right, a living benefit and generational wealth. You see, if everyone in Jamaica decided to build generational wealth from the start in the 90s, we would be so much better off. Right, our parents would make us more better off. Right, so one of the things that I try to do, I want to target younger persons so that they understand these important things, so that when they have their children, you can build generational wealth over time. So it's nation building. Right? If you can show to someone that this can build your generational wealth, it can change the mindset of persons in Jamaica. Right? The poor mentality thing, we don't depend on that. We have to make sure that persons can have wealth. We're not talking about being rich. You can get rich now and poor the next day. We're talking about wealth.
Growth.
Growth. Right? Things that can last generations. right? That's one of the things, the key, and one of the things that I think Jamaica needs right now, is if we don't get that, we'll be the same thing over and over, and the cycle will keep continuing. And so that's why I say I don't just train insurance agents, right? I train financial advisors to ensure that they can match the person's needs. So I deal with insurance, investments, retirement planning, estate planning, all those things that fall under my portfolio.
All right, so we talk about access to your benefit. You sign up a policy, something happens, you need to make a claim to your policy. What are the difficulties achieving those claims?
The difficulties, it's not really difficult to know. The only thing that comes with is the time and the amount of cases that the claims department has. Right, but once your claim is, let me use the word, once your claim is actually vetted and assessed, right, it's actually a claim, because some people say this happened and it really happened. Right, once your claim is genuine, then you have to get, legally you have to get your money. Right.
But sometimes, we're both in the business, we're in the business, so there's some misconceptions. Sometimes agents do not be forthright with information.
Right.
Because most of the time the relationship they build with the clients are so personal, not many persons are going to ask you every nitty-gritty.
Right.
Sometimes agents shortchange their clients based on that. Because they have the best interest at heart, they probably think that they don't need to know that this is proper advice. But as it comes to like certain type of cancer, not every coverage
covers
cancer, cancer is broad. You have cervical cancer,
right.
you have cancer of the skin, you know, different type of region. But you have the coverage would say like the cover cancer.
Right.
But you find out that you know your diagnosis for throat cancer and that wasn't the type of cancer they cover.
Right. It's not. There's not a lot of cancers that are not covered. Right. Before I even get into that, I want go back to what you said a little bit earlier. Right. So sometimes agents are forthright for real. Right. And not just with persons that are close with, persons who are strangers. As I said, they are agents and they are financial advisors. Right. The agents, those people who are not forthright, the business usually filter them out quickly. But we're trying to ensure that they don't even come in. Right, and it's an unfortunate reality of the market, but we are trying to change that stigma. Right, one of the things that I encourage persons to do is to read them policy. Make sure you read the policy.
That brochure that you get normally.
Right, you get a contract, read through it. Right, even if it take a few minutes, just read through it and understand exactly what you have. Ask your agents any question. Even if I ask them 100 questions for the day, they're supposed to answer 100 questions and 100 answer it properly.
How long should the decision making take for someone to, actually take out a coverage after you share adequate and competent information about the need?
There's no real time period. Some persons do it on the spot, some persons take days, some persons take months. Right? I would not advise persons to pass a week, because really and truly, I can be talking to you now, and you sign up a policy, and you step outside and something happens to you. The fact that you sign and you paid your policy means you're covered.
You have a coverage.
Now, if you sit down and take your time, anything can happen. We don't know when we will die. None of us know. Right? So it's better to have something in place, even if it's small or whatever. Just have something in place. Right? Sometimes people take days. Right? And we can't rush them. We can't be bombarding them. But we, as the financial advisors, let them understand the urgent need for that and understand why it's important. But most of my clients don't do it on the spot. Right? Because I ensure that I let them understand the need of what they have.
Most of them do it on the spot or don't?
Most of them do it on the spot.
Okay.
There's only a few really have to sit down and think about it.
They're not talking about the paying over, but actually signing and making a decision.
Signing and making a decision. Right, one of the things that I tell persons is that, listen, if you sign, you pay, I will submit everything, you're covered.
That's the process. That's the
right,
process.
right. Yeah, you sign, you pay the first premium, you're covered. So if this policy gets approved and a month or two down the line come and you decide you don't want it, there's something in your contract called a 10-day free look. Once I get the contract in my hand, I can bring it to you, you sign it, and the policy it ceases to exist, you get back all your money. It's better to do that while you're sitting down and thinking. Right, because at least you'll be covered during that period.
Yeah, they'll make some action towards actually seeing the benefit.
Right. And usually when people get something in their hand, then usually start to argue.
Yeah, because you get paralysis by analysis, sitting there thinking about it without actually making a move towards it.
Right.
Sales. How can you
before you go any further, the cancer thing, we still want to address that. Right, so the cancer, there are not many forms of cancer that are not covered. Skin cancer is one that's not covered, right, unfortunately. And there are different products that can cover different things. So for example, The Ultra Lifeline covers cancer that are more advanced, while a policy called Triple Protector covers some that are not as advanced. So sometimes they can give a combination of the two, right? But once you read the contract and let the person understand exactly what they have, then there shouldn't be much of a problem. But once you get the condition that is under your contract and you're paying a premium every month and your policy is active, then Sagicor has to pay out. No matter if you have millions, billions, whatever it is. Right? And we have the money to ensure that if millions and millions and millions of claims come in, it paid and still remain proper.
All right, let's talk about age. Age consideration when taking out a policy. Most persons, believe it or not, even elderly, don't have a coverage.
Most of them don't.
You understand?
Most of them don't. Let me tell you why. Back in the 80s and 90s, and even before, there was the stigma against insurance. Insurance is a scam, insurance is this, insurance is that. So a lot of our parents don't have insurance. Luckily, my mother became a police. So there was a man called Walter Grant years ago. When you're a police and you graduate from the academy, the person in charge just says, the insurance man over this will go and go sign. You don't have a choice. Insurance man over this, Walter Grant, still going to sign everybody. So my mother got that. And when I became an insurance agent, I took out more for her because it wasn't as large as I wanted it to be. But the unfortunate reality is that most older persons are, them head tough, right? Them know why insurance, a scam insurance and this. And that's why I said that they're not putting us in a better position, right? And the thing is, the older you get, the more expensive it gets. I usually advise persons to take out insurance as they start work.
Yeah,
right?
affordable.
Literally, as they start work, take out something small.
But there's something for everybody. You know?
There's something for everybody.
As I say, you take time to step up.
Right. And one of the things that I'm glad that's happening now is that persons, especially grandparents, are taking out insurance policies that the kids, whether that be something for their college fund or just some small insurance or critical illness, they're starting to do that. So I'm seeing the transition
So the
and the shift.
socialization is
Right.
changing.
Yeah, I'm seeing the shift. Right. It's happening slowly, but it's happening surely.
In terms of funeral expense, how beneficial that is too?
That is the thing. Funeral expenses usually usually cost between $500,000 and $1 million. On average now, can be more, but it now costs less than $500,000. Just the funeral home alone that costs you between $300,000 and $500,000, and there are other expenses. Yeah, and there are other expenses, right? So for older persons, we usually advise maybe a smaller coverage to fit within person's affordability, because usually them kids are paying for them insurance. So the older generation and them kids are paying for it, right? So it's so expensive at that age. The kids wish them take it out a long time, because it's so expensive at that age that they might can maybe afford $1 million or $2 million or $3 million, right? Because for those small coverages, they pay a lot of money.
Instead of even thinking about creating legacy for their grandkids, they have to just think about a specific coverage just to funeral expenses.
Just for funeral expenses.
Because of the affordability.
Right, because I heard someone say something the other day that I found very weird. They say, all right, if the person die, everybody put up $50,000 and bury them. But I say, based on the person's age, if you give me $50,000 every year, this person can be sure for almost $2 million. Right? If you give me $50,000 every year, in fact, that $50,000 every year, based on what I was wanting to do, would have covered 5 years. Because the policy was $1,000 per month. So I say, if you give me $50,000, 5 years worth of coverage that. Right? So maybe 2 or 3 persons would have put the $50,000. But if you do that by yourself, everybody has to
So you encourage family to come together and look after the most vulnerable in their family unit.
Yeah, and do insurance for them. I know persons who are 2, 3 kids that pay for them 1 or 2 parents insurance. Right? So it makes more sense to put the money in insurance, because you will never save or put the amount of money you put towards insurance. You will never actually equal the amount of money that you will pay out. It will never actually.
Yeah, that's
so the same example, it was $1,000 a month for $1.6 million worth of insurance. If you calculate that, it would take them literally more than 100 years to just save that amount of money. Right? So it made more sense to put the money in insurance, especially when you're young. If you calculate it, you will never put the amount of money that you get from insurance. Right? So you have to think about it as a long-term benefit. Right? When I think about insurance, I think about it for 3 benefits. There are 3 benefits on insurance, in my personal opinion. One of them is what most people know about, which is death. The other 2 most people don't know about, right, which is the mortgage side of things and investments. So it's my job now to show them that there are more death benefits, there are more living benefits than death benefits.
There's more components than just...
Right, there are more living benefits than there are death benefits. Right, so that's what I do, and that's why insurance persons understand it.
I remember the case where they said that Pastor Kevin Smith, one of the person, his name was on her policy and all of that. How does company try to ensure that the person that is, attached as beneficiary or, trustee or a person that actually, because it comes from the agent and the agent doing the sit down with the client. How they ensure that the person that they recommend or actually the person that
Well,
are family members?
the first step is to ensure that we understand the relationship. So we talk to the clients and say, we want this beneficiary, and you tell me. And he's a friend, I was saying, I stop and say, no, why are you putting a friend on this?
They make suggestions sometimes.
Right. We usually say kids, spouse, family members. So a friend, I start questioning it. And when I submit my application now, they might call me and say, why is this a friend? Who is this person to this person? It's called insurability interest. So they ask, why exactly is this person on this policy? Right? What is the insurability interest? That's one of the things that they put in place for that. That seemed to be a special case. I'm not sure how exactly that one passed through, but unfortunate reality is that the system is not perfect. Right? But they do ask us what is the insurable interest for this person, and we have to justify it. Sometimes they ask us to write a narrative. We have to write exactly what.
All right, most persons know about the top company, the giants, Sagicor, Guardian Life, but there are other agencies you can get proper coverage from.
Yes,
brokerage.
Yeah, man. The brokerages are there. The top brokerage right now is Chancellor Insurance Brokerage, and Laws. One of the things that it offers you is that it offers you more. Let me use variety and more options, because you can get insurance from abroad, because they have contracts with abroad companies, and you can get Sagicor or Guardian insurance, right? Even with brokerages, they still sell more Sagicor insurance because the policies are just usually better, right? It's the unfortunate reality. The only time I've ever seen a Guardian policy be better than Sagicor is when the person is older. So Guardian usually sell better policies for the older persons.
You're saying that on the record.
Right, but the thing is, remember, even though I'm a financial advisor for Sagicor, I care more about the public well-being. So sometimes I send my clients to Guardian and say, go and have a Guardian, right? Or if Sagicor have NCB have a better product, I was saying, not that they do, but I ensure that the clients come first.
The best option.
Right, the clients come first. Right, so I'm not going to be biased just because I work at Sagicor. Right, and I say that to everybody. Anybody know me, knows me say that. So if NCB have a better loan than Sagicor Bank, go on to NCB. Right, mortgages, JMMB, I send my people to JMMB. Right,
The interest.
the interest is better. Right. It also forces Sagicor to step them game up. Because if me I recommend people to other people, you have to correct a bit of products, so I can start recommending to you. Because my client will come first at all
But
times.
it builds a relationship with you and VM client because they're looking for coverage.
They might look for advice. They might look for an insurance agent. They might look for an advisor. Right? And that's exactly what I do. And I ensure that I stick to that. For the past 6 years, I've been sticking to that.
So how a person can check their policies, check the portfolio, to ensure that no hanky-panky is happening.
Right, yeah, man. There's something called Sagicor Client Web that persons usually, I usually sign my clients all up for it, but sometimes they don't go on it or access it, right? But Sagicor Client Web is a very good portal. You can go on and see your policy, see how much money is there, so what you can disbursement, see the history of the policy, all those things, right? It's fairly new, right? And they've been trying to use it more and more. But that's what I usually advise my clients to do. So if you don't have Sagicor Client Web, call the advisor, sign up for it. You can go online and sign up for it yourself.
A person who have been here from the financial advisors for a good while. Sometimes financial advisor, because of the volume of work coming in, they might not keep up to date or keep in contact with the client to inform them how the policy going. Sometimes they wonder what's happening. I used to talk to some clients and they say, we did have a policy, but they don't even know the agent name.
Right.
And what are some of the etiquettes you implore financial advisor to have in terms of building proper client?
Right. So the thing is, and what you said a while ago is completely right. Because of the volume that we have to keep bringing in, it's hard to keep touch with our clients. Because right now, I think I have almost 1,400 policies under my belt and more than 800 clients. So I can't call them every day. It's an unfortunate reality. What I try to do is I try to send out emails on maybe a monthly or monthly or 2 or 3 months basis. Just to make them know, say, hey, these are the things that we have, these are the advice, just reminding of the different things that we have. Right? Some persons send out emails to them clients every month. And what I try to do, as I said, I try to do a yearly review. So if I can't call all of them, sometimes I just call and say, hey, XYZ, or just send a message every 3 or 4 months. Right? But the unfortunate thing is that we can't always reach out. Right? But one of the good things is that I always keep myself open to my clients' questions. So sometimes they will just message me. And I
have a relationship with this.
Right, and I make sure I have an assistant that can ensure that if I can't do it, she can do it.
Yeah, because if you're really on the top of your game, you're performing, the volume gonna increase.
Yeah,
so you have to delegate.
Right, you have to delegate. You have to get help. right? It's better you pay someone to help you than for just on your own and you just fail.
What are some of the traits you look for in someone if you want to know if they're the right person to come under your unit?
All right, so there are 3 things I look for mainly. An entrepreneurial spirit, right? Very important. Persons who want to work for themselves. Because even though I work for Sagicor, I'm contracted to Sagicor. I'm technically seen as a self-employed person, right? I work on my own time. I write my own check every month because of my performance. Even the government sees me as a self-employed person, technically. So I can file for actual tax returns, right? So I'm contracted to Sagicor, but I work for my own. I build my own business. I work on my own time. I set my own schedule, right? So entrepreneurial spirit is very important, right? You have to be able to take risk. An entrepreneur takes a whole heap of risk. When you start a business, it is a risk that you're taking, a very big risk, right? Someone who's driven, someone who wants to succeed. Right? You see, if you don't have a drive, it don't make no sense. Because as I said, you're writing your own paycheck every month. Right? Someone who decides, hey, I come from wherever it is, might come from the ghetto, might come from a single parent household where my mother make XYZ. But done with that. I want to be at a certain level, buy my own house, drive a nice car, build a family for myself. So someone who's driven, someone who's driven for that and sees that, they're imperfect for me. It even come to a college man who meet last week, right? Because we went to the great Jamaica College, right? So I saw a college man who graduated recently, and he gave me the same story. And before the interview to finish, me say, hey, sir, yeah man, I put you out to the big boss.
Richard, right?
Samuels, yes, yeah man. I actually recruited Richard, right? Before I was a manager, I brought him into the business.
Very knowledgeable, you know.
Very. Yeah man, very knowledgeable. He's actually creating a company now, and he asked me to be part of it, right? So. The college man, before the interview finished, it was a yes for me already, right, just based on the drive that he has. Right. The last thing is the ability to bounce back if you get hit down. The commission is great, the pay is amazing, we love it, but no job is perfect. Things do happen, right? Sometimes you get a hit from head office. The XYZ happen. You see if you not even just claw back, but even just ensuring that your things are taken care of, because I can't do everything for the client. Some things have to be handled by customer service. If them take long, it'll look bad for me. And that can affect the client relationship. Right? So if you drop your shoulder every little time that happens and say, but that, no. You have to be able to say, all right then, this happened, how do I find a solution to it? And bounce back quick.
But one thing, those are fabulous points. So persons who are interested to try the market, try have some knowledge in terms of insurance and sales. And these are some of the tips that you want to have on their belt to help you. But also, what I experienced during my time in insurance is that affordability to go to different places. Most times you start off having the idea that I was this big top man at UWI, everybody know you was a top man at this school or whatever, so you go to your niche. A niche. But as we just shared that most of the times, the person that you know does not buy from you. At least at first. So important it is to branch off and branch out and find different areas of business to tap into, the creative skills. And most people, most people when they start out doing insurance, they don't have the ability to drive or, sometimes depending upon the age. If they come in early. How are some of the tips you encourage them to use to be able to get around and meet clients despite?
It all comes down, it comes back to the drive, right? Because I know persons who have started a business without a car, right? And they're doing very well. There's a girl now called Amila Savage who's in my branch. She come out, she just buy a car the other day. She's been at Sagicor for over a year now, right? She literally say, hey, when I'm stop me, she take bus and go to all our clients them. So the drive is important. Some person say, okay, but I'll take the bus and this and that. No, she decides that she'll do it. Another brother, he's successful name, Matthew Hepburn. Come without a car. No, you drive a very nice car, uptown setting, everything for him, right? So you have to work. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. You have to work it out with your manager, right?
Have a plan.
Have a plan. Have action. Say, all right then. You don't drive, but you're meeting clients. It don't make sense. Let's say you're setting meetings for Tuesday. It don't make sense to meet a client downtown, then you have to drive come New Kingston, then you have to go Stony Hill, then go back downtown. No, be smart with it. When you're talking to your clients and they give you prospects, you say, all right, these persons work downtown. You set a meeting for all of them downtown. Then on Wednesday now, you start meeting for all the people in a New Kingston, and it's vice versa. So there are different ways you can do it. You can talk to your manager and say, hey, this is my situation, this is what you can do. Right? So it comes down to how much you want.
And there's a support system between the colleagues, because if you have a meeting downtown, you can liaison with someone.
Right, and someone can bring you.
Carpool,
right? If the manager can bring you, I know managers will say, you have a meeting now, you have come in. Jump in them car and bring you to wherever you need to go. Right? So it all depends on the situation. Right? But there are certain things that you can do to mitigate it. Funny enough, when you talk about that, even if you have a car Sagicor, that means say, not even just that, but I'll give you an example. September 2019 was before 2022 was one of my best months at Sagicor, September 2019. I never had a car. Car broke down. I couldn't fix it at the time. Well, it was being fixed. But for that month, I decided, hey, I'm going to have a car, this not stop me. One of my best performing months. I remember taking a bus, go Clarendon, the hills of Clarendon. They have a place called GMC at Clarendon. I got that. Right? I take a bus, go up there, pass Kelly's, and I go up there and sign the client and come right back. So I had a car September that year, I never have it. But I say, this not stop me. Me, I'm going to make sure I go out. I was one of my best months. It was my best month to date before last year.
Right. The thing, and I'm talking from experience, and normally when I would see some agents, they get a hype on promise from a client. I talk to this big prospect have some asset, and I say, yeah man, I'm going to sign this big client and all of that, and them sit down and them laps, don't do no work for the month or a couple of weeks, thinking that the client going to come through and all of that, and they drop the drive. Yeah, and when by the time they're ready for the close, no money comes in, the client change your mind, they need more information, need more time, or they probably don't have the proper paperwork.
Right.
But you get all of the hype because of the prospect or the prospect look and all of that. They didn't do the proper fact finding.
Right.
You understand? And that's some of the things that disappoint most agents in the business.
Yeah. It happens. It happens.
Because they drop the ball, they don't move. You need to keep on going. It's like...
So one of the things we try to tell persons, I try to teach persons when they're doing training is that even if you go to one morning, you sign the first client for the day, and you have 4 meetings, that don't mean you don't go to the other 4. You need to make sure you go and keep going, no matter what you get, because the more you put in, the more you get out of it. So if that client was supposed to make you $1 million, it's better you go, if and the others were supposed to make you $200,000-300,000, it's better you go to those as well, because it's like a funnel. Like, remember marketing funnel comes down. The more persons you bring in,
the loop. Right,
you're bringing a lot of persons, but guess what? At the end of the day, they must go do medical, whatever it is. Then it means they must cycle the same month, but it comes down, right? So it will filter out eventually, but that don't mean it will filter out at the same time. So if you put in 10 persons, 2 might come out for the month. But if you put in 20, 4, 6 might come out.
And what's the prospect ratio in terms of number of persons you see to the number of conversions?
All right, you need 4. Usually, based on research, you need to call 40 people, meet with 20, you sign maybe 5, and then cycle 2. So the more persons you can put in, as I said, with the funnel, the more it will settle out. Right? It takes it might take a longer time, but guess what? You're essentially you're being consistent. So this might cycle this month, that might cycle the other month.
You build a momentum.
Right? So you build a momentum and keep going. So eventually it will just catch up with itself. Right? So if you sit down and wait on a client, you're not going to be one client, you're not going to be a successful agent. Now it never work.
And how important is attire? Because I can spot an insurance agent. Enough time there's some. When my lady was having our child, and we got to the doctor appointment, and they see this youth in a suit. Every time I see him, couple times in a suit. I say, which one you work? It's not Guardian, like, so which one of the branch of Sagicor? I say, oh, you know, some insurance. You have a look.
Right, they do.
You understand?
So the thing is, I tell my persons all the time, the sale starts from you walking into the room. How you look, how you shake the person's hand, how you smell, how you attire, how you sit down, how you engage with the person. So appearance is extremely important. Some people think it's don't, but it's not. But those persons usually don't last long, right? But you have to attire yourself properly. Make sure your suit is clean, you're smelling good, you're well attired, and you groom yourself properly, right? That plays a very big part because people may feel more comfortable speaking to you. And yes, when I'm on the road sometimes, people think I'm either a lawyer, insurance man, or something else. So sometimes people, there are perks to it too. I might have need to park somewhere and say, oh, you're man council, just go park around this man, you're good.
Yeah, man. You find yourself be able to tap into different
Right.
career image.
Right.
Just by how
Right. You go tax office, oh, your man council, come man. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Your man, sir, you alright, sir, that XYZ. How you attire yourself is extremely important. The other day I go court, right? And we just walk in. We say, yes, counsel, come down. We just start talk to people, right? So how your attire is extremely important. You have to take pride into it, right? It's not something that everyone just has, but it's something that we teach. When I come to Sagicor, something I big up my boss all the time. I big up Crystal all the time. So when I come to Sagicor, I never know nothing about dressing for the corporate world. I just come in one little shirt and whatever, shirt and tie. And when the man sit down and teach, man say, hey, don't wear this, wear that.
Coordination and
yeah,
all that.
it's a completely different thing.
How important it is.
Right. To this day, them still talk about it. I used to wear one purple shirt, go work. To this day, them talk about it. Yo, Nobi come far still. When I used to come work, I used to dress like this, and man say, yo, know where yourself. I see the potential in you. This is the way you need to do. There's a complete difference.
It's a process because you're not just going to come into the business and be the top.
Right.
It's a process.
It's a process. You have to teach the persons, and you have to ensure you can guide them the right way. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going into management, because not everyone does that. Right. I've always had an interest in the success of my peers. So I've always, try to guide them as much as possible, run training sessions with them. Them come to me for advice. I'm known as the information man in my branch. So I make sure I have the accurate information can give them. If I don't know it, I'm going to find someone who knows it and bring it to them. Right? Show them how to dress, show them how to attire, how to walk into a room and demand presence. Right? So that's one of the reasons, that's one of the things that they saw and say, all right, then this person might be right. So we help keep training and building this culture. Right? Because you have to build a culture around it. Right? You have to build a culture of performance, a culture of appearance, a culture of everything, just a culture of always going out and being right. Right, and making sure that your clients are taken care of. Right, and for that, because of that, my branch is as successful as it is now. Right.
So, are your branch recruiting for persons watching?
Yes, we are recruiting now. We are recruiting. If anyone wants to, send a resume, it's Nobi_Robinson at Sagicor.com. It's NOBI_regular Robinson at Sagicor.com. They can send their resumes there, or just shoot me an email, WhatsApp, 8811016.
Any social media angles person want to know about?
Yeah, man. Nobi.k.robinson is the Instagram.
How important social media helps?
That is extremely. Oh my God, that is one of the most important things nowadays. Because guess what happened now? It marketing and networking yourself and putting your image out there. Extremely important. So I don't post anything on my social media. None at all. I make sure my social media clean. Right, I might not utilize it as much as some person do, but some person literally get sales just by how they portray themselves on social media. Right, there's a friend of mine called Tiffany Samantha, she's Tiffany Lawson. Yeah, Tiffany Lawson from Sagicor. She's one of the top agents there now. And social media, she do Money Mondays. Right, she literally portray herself in the right way and say, this is what I do, this is how I do it. Right, and this is the go-to person, right? Tiffany Lawson, she's one of the persons. There's another one called Jamie Spence. She literally social media marketing, right? So she goes on, she does little videos, show persons how that this can help, because you can get yourself out there, and they have a lot of followers. They reach a large cross-section of persons, right? So even the branches have a marketing team to ensure that they can get their image out there.
That fit into what you did study for.
Right. So you have to use social media. You can't be posting. First, as I said, I don't post anything. I always ensure to give off a certain image on social media. And persons can use that to their benefit. They can get clients on it. They can ensure that they network the proper way. They can show everyone who they are, right? And you have other personal touch to it. It can't just be business, right? For example, we were discussing this because I'm doing my real estate course now. Discussing it the other day that some persons in real estate just post house alone. There's no personal aspect to it, right? Well, some person agree that that's good, some person agree that that's bad.
Right, because this channel covers real estate,
right?
It covers fitness, health,
right?
Information, careers, and business.
Right.
You understand?
So sometimes you can have a personal touch to it, right? So it all depends on what you want and how you want to reach your persons. So social media is one of the best ways you can get yourself out there. Advertising now, social media. That's where it is right now. Right, persons not really running that much ads on Jamaican TV anymore. It's social media. Because if I'm recruiting now, I'm sending through social media, right? So you have to be able to get yourself out there.
final thoughts.
Final comments? Well, one of the things that I usually tell persons is that they need to always ensure that they're seeking the right advice, right? I always tell persons, I try to go back to, I was living on Towers when Mr. Deacons was living there. I try to go back and give back to my hall. I always advise persons, when you start working, ensure that you do a few things. Keep expenses low, invest, insure yourself, and make sure you're making the right financial decisions. If you don't think you're making that, you need to consult with an expert. Always try to make the best decisions and budget. You can't do anything without budgeting, right? You have to make sure you have an emergency fund and budget. So I always tell persons that you need to have at least 3 to 6 times your monthly expenses, minimum. Put down in an account, so if anything happens, you can reach into it.
Solid advice.
Right? Emergency fund is important. And then after you build that emergency fund, when you just start work, invest, insure, and make sure you keep your expenses low. It makes no sense you're making 100,000 a month and you're spending 70,000 out of it. Right? Because you need to be saving. Right? You need to be investing. How will that work if you're spending so much of your salary? You need to ensure that all those things can be taken accounting for in a budget. Make sure your budget, put on an emergency fund, and invest your money. Right? You have to be thinking about
and for
generational
person in
wealth.
our age group, late 20s, early 30s, you know, who want to start have kids and all of that. You need to start put some financial planning towards that.
Right.
There's no possible way they're supposed to come, reach 18 and wonder what school they're going, how they're going to pay
How
for
am I
the
going to pay for
fee.
school? Right.
All them things they stop at this point. You understand? 'Cause we have the knowledge about the information. The world is global.
Right.
And we can just do the right thing for us to make sure that they have a better future.
Right. Yeah, man, it's all in our hands now. All in our hands now.
No excuse. All right?
Yeah,
All
man.
right. So check out fituniversity.org. Always encourage you to do fitness and health. Get insurance coverage. Call your agent if you have other agent outside Sagicor and find out what is happening with the policy, or you can upgrade it and what is there. All right. So let's make the best decision moving forward 2023
Right.
and beyond.
Yeah,
All right?
man. All right.
Palpatine protection.